I've said it before and I will say it again. I have an absolutely horrible addiction to buying cameras. So what we're going to take a look at today is actually a step down, a step backwards, a step back into 2014, if you will. I own and currently use an awful lot. The Sony A5300. I was using it as my main camera here for a long time. I've recently moved back to using my Panasonic G7 for whatever reason. I just kind of like the picture quality with this 20mm lens and not having the gigantic Sigma lens sticking out of it. Neither here nor there. I still do use the A6300 a lot, but for vlogging type stuff, the stuff I do on my other channel where I do stuff with my family, for that channel I normally use this camera. It's the Panasonic LX10. It's got the flip up screen. It takes a really long time to start making video. It's like 8 to 10 seconds or so from when you turn it on to when you can hit the record button. But it's great. It does amazing quality video. It's just lacking a little bit. So I thought I would try this out. This is the Sony A5100, or the A5100. Did not buy this brand new. Best Buy was doing a deal where you could buy open box. Actually, I think everybody was doing a deal. You could buy the A5100 with its kit lens for $500, where normally it's $550. But Best Buy had an open box one that was $450. So $100 off the retail price. I thought I'd give it a shot, and the absolute worst case scenario, if it's just not any good for me, I can take it back because it's Best Buy, but I don't think I'll be doing that because I've seen some video samples and it looks pretty good. And before I jump too far into it, I probably should mention some things. This does have an APS-C size sensor. It's a crop sensor, so it's basically in a lot of ways just like my A6300. It's 24.3 megapixels. To be able to get something like that does 1080p video for less than $500 is pretty good. It has hybrid autofocus and Wi-Fi, built-in flash, and lots of stuff that you can't see because the box is torn up. 4K is not for video, it's just for photos. And because this does have the kit lens with it, the kit lens is a power zoom 16 to 50mm lens, has built-in optical steady shot. The camera itself I don't think has steady shot, but the lens does. And so inside of the box, in case you wanted to see what comes in this box from 2014, it does apparently have everything. I opened it briefly just to check. We got a bunch of manuals and guides and stuff. We've got a micro USB cable and wall charger, a strap which will never get used, and the camera itself. And I think that's actually everything in the box. And then the camera, as you can see, it's not a terribly huge camera. Put it up right next to my LX10, which I can fit in my pocket, and it's actually almost exactly the same size, except it does have that lens protrusion, and there's really not a way to do away with that without getting a pancake lens. That's okay. It has these horrible strap holding clips. I will be taking those off immediately. The lens is interchangeable. You just press the button like you would with any other Sony mirrorless camera, give it a twist, and there's your sensor. Lens can be just swapped out for any other E-mount lens. Now, a big difference between my A6300 and this one is it does not have a mode dial on the A5100. You've got a zoom toggle over here if your lens supports it, on-off switch, movie button, LCD display back here, and this is one of the key features, one of the reasons why I was really interested in this camera. Seen a lot of people recommending this even now, is you can flip this all the way up. This is the thing that's missing from my A6300, but I understand why Sony doesn't have it there, because this camera does not have a mic jack. Put the battery in down here. It did come pre-installed, but unlike most other Sony cameras I've used, and most other cameras in general I've used, the SD card slot is here on the side. There's also the HDMI out and micro USB for charging, and NFC over on the other side. On the back, in addition to that flip-up screen where I just kind of glossed over everything else, menu button, display, ISO settings, playback, trash button, flash is right up here. Press that button and it pops up. You can just slide it back down. Your microphones are right here. I've also seen a tutorial of somebody putting these kind of wind muffs on these microphones, and it makes a drastic, much better improvement, if that made any sense. So I'll most likely be doing that to this camera. And then just in terms of using it, you flip this little switch here, the lens extends as you would expect, and it's on, and it's ready to use. I don't have a card in it at the moment, but I could always flip it up like this, start taking photos and videos, and it's small and it's light and it's a good way to get started. Now let me say this right here. If you're just getting started on YouTube, if you're looking for a camera, start off with the one in your pocket, start off with your cell phone. You don't necessarily have to make the jump to something that's $500, $600, or like this one is about $700 for the little Panasonic. You don't have to do that. For the grand majority of people, a cell phone is going to be a great way to start. They have some very low-end point-and-shoot cameras you can also use that have a flip-up screen. This one just gives me a little bit of expandability, a little flexibility. I can take this lens off and put my wide angle on it. I could put a zoom lens on it. I could put my Sigma lens on there. There's a lot of options, and I definitely appreciate that. And you know what, while we're in here, let's just take a quick look in the menus. First off, instead of using a mode dial, if I go ahead and press on the center button, it takes me into the mode screen. So I'm in movie mode right now, manual exposure, shutter priority, aperture, program, superior auto, and then intelligent auto. scene, and panorama. I'll leave it in movie mode for right now because that's what I do. In movie mode, of course, you've got program auto, aperture priority, shutter priority, and full manual. Then you can also go into the menu. You've got a bunch of different options in here. So camera settings, I'm not going to go all the way through this, but file format, you can pick XAVC, AVC HD, and MP4. I'm going to leave it on this XAVCS, but AVC HD, you can see we've got a bunch of options in there. Again, I'll go back to XAVCS. But as with all the other Sony cameras, this has all the same settings pretty much. And unfortunately, even though this does have a touchscreen on it, the touchscreen doesn't really work in the menus, just like the A6500. But I think without any further ado, let's just do some very quick sample video using this. We'll see how the microphone sounds, we'll see how the video looks, both in good lighting, in not so good lighting, outdoors, and then we'll wrap things up. And here we go. We are now on the Sony A5100. We'll just stop for a minute to see if there's any background noise aside from my dishwasher that's running. I don't hear anything. Hopefully you're not hearing anything. But this is what the video looks like in a decently lit area. I've got my bright studio lights shining right on me. And for comparison, I'm walking into the living room where there are no lights turned on at the moment. It's decently dimly lit in here, but it looks like it just scaled itself down to 1/30th of a second. We're still at f3.5. It's going back and forth between 1/30th and 1/60th, but its ISO is auto, so it's just automatically adjusting. So we'll see how grainy it is in here, if it's grainy at all. This is not the darkest room it could possibly be, but it's pretty dimly lit in here. And now we're outdoors. We are out on the back deck. Don't have any direct sunlight here. I've got overhead coverage and whatnot, but I can actually step out into the sun and it'll get decently bright on my face, and it seems to adjust accordingly. It looks like it's at 1/250th of a second, f11 right now. And then when I step back out of the sun, it very quickly adjusts to 1/60th at f8 or so. My glasses are adjusting as well, which is kind of nice. And then we'll just flip it around and take a look. So now we are outdoors, looking around, kind of holding it extra stable, but just to give you a sense of how stable it can be handheld, not bad. I hear a bird over in the trees. Let me use the power zoom to zoom in. So from handheld, this is as far as I can go without any sort of digital zooming, and I can go back out. So pretty decent zoom on the kit lens. And the touchscreen on it can actually be used for autofocusing. So right now it's focused on the Panasonic camera in the foreground. If I tap on the background, it switches over and focuses on the box back there. Tap on the camera, comes right back to the box, and then back to the camera, so on and so forth. And the autofocus is very, very fast. I like that. And then, as I implied there earlier, you can also switch the lenses. So I went ahead and switched from the kit lens to my ultra wide angle Sony lens, which means that I can do this in a handheld camera. The camera is a little bit larger with this lens on there, but if you kind of cradle it by the lens, gives you a little bit extra stability. It's kind of nice. And the ultra wide angle lens does have optical steady shot in it, so it should work the same as using the kit lens with it. And in my experience, this lens is really nice for being able to fit a lot of people in a scene into the frame. I like it a lot. And now back over to the kit lens, and I think that's actually where I'm gonna wrap things up for today. Right after I turn the camera off, I'm gonna take these little jingly things off the side so that when I move the camera around, it doesn't make this noise, because I hate that. But I guess let me know what you think about the camera, what you think about the video quality and the price point. If you're looking for a new camera, would you be willing to buy one that does not do 4K video? For me, I was looking for a way to be able to put one camera in my wife's purse or pocket so that whenever we're doing our vlogs, she can actually have a camera to pull out of her own, and then I can have a camera that I can pull out wherever I happen to be without having to share the exact same camera. And since we do everything at 1080p 60, the 5100 is great for that. And the video quality, from what I've seen so far, looks very nice in all lighting scenarios. It's the audio that I'm concerned about. It does not have an external jack, so I'm gonna have to live without any sort of external better quality audio, and that kind of stinks. But again, let me know what you think about it. I'll put links to where you can find this down in the video description. Hit the like button if you liked it, hit the thumbs down if you didn't, that's fine too. Subscribe to the channel though, if you like what I'm doing here, if you want to support the channel, if you want to get notified when I put out new videos, definitely appreciate it. I'll see you again next time.